How's it going, everybody? And welcome to another episode of the Pursuing Greatness podcast. I'm your host, Gabe Peterson. This is the place where you can learn how to master your health, your wealth, and your love all in one place. So I hope you look forward to another great episode with another great guest. Before we get started, I do want to remind everybody that the best way to support the show is to simply subscribe, like, and share this episode with your friends. Also, if you want to get more involved with the show, check out our website at pursuinggreatnesspodcast.com. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you have your pen and paper ready to take some notes on some great wisdom coming your way. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the other side of the episode. All right, we are live. Today we have with us Tiara M. Tucker. Tiara is born and raised in a town south of Chicago and now productively social distancing in Dallas, where she has lived for 8 years. Tiara is a wearer of many tiaras. To name a few, she is a passionate and loud keynote speaker and host, the CEO of her own purpose-driven boutique firm, Tiara Public Relations Network, the visionary leader of her empowerment effort, Speak That Movement, and the creator, producer, and host of her weekly virtual show, Speak That Talks. Her purpose in life is to use her platform to empower business professionals along their journey of dreams and goal realization. Mouthful, you're doing a lot of stuff. I love it, Tiara. So welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. And thank you for articulating all of those words. I appreciate that. I'm going to short that.
I stumbled a little bit. But I'm glad we got through it. To get us started, why don't you tell everybody, where you are, what you do, and how you got started down that path in the first place?
Yes, thank you. Well, first of all, let me begin by saying thank you, Gabe. I am honored to be a part of today's podcast. I absolutely love what you're doing, so it is my honor. So as you stated, I am from Illinois, south of Chicago. I was relocated to Dallas, Texas in 2012. So my employer sent me here, and it's been an amazing journey. So I have a almost 16-year career with a Fortune 50 company.
Cool.
So the past decade, I've been working in corporate communications. But also, while working on, my full-time job, I have really just taken a deep dive into living my dreams, and living my best life. And so that entails what I like to call my babies, Tiara PR Network LLC, which is a purpose-driven PR, communications, events, and consultation firm. Also, I have what I call Speak That Movement, and I'll talk a lot more about Speak That Movement during this interview. But Speak That Movement was an effort that I started back in 2011, and my goal is really to empower, uplift, and connect people. So I do that via bringing in inspiring speakers to speak to my audience, by hosting events. I've had a lot of events here in Dallas, but due to COVID-19, I had to evolve to virtual events. I have my engaging social media, and then I also have some novelties out there. So the entire focus right now for me is to empower people, uplift people, and Speak That Talks was just something that I birthed during COVID-19. Like people, we were needing just an outlet, a platform to talk about everything that's going on in the world, right? From the pandemic to social injustices to just everything that we're dealing with as people. So I just decided to, hey, I don't want to wait on anybody. Let me create the platform. So that's a little bit about me and my passions, and we can dig deeper into each and every one of them. I'm a proud aunt and just really trying to live my best life.
Awesome. I love it. Well, here at Pursuing Greatness, we're all about how to live the best life, and that's in your health, your business, your relationships, in your spirit. So, we cover the gamut, and I really like to hear people's stories when they really start out because, we over our life, we always develop, we grow, and we evolve into a better version of ourselves. So kind of take us to the start of your story in the Speak That movement and I'm the Tiara Public Relations Network. Take us back to the initial stages of that. Like what got you going? How did you launch that in the first place?
Yeah, so great question. So what's really interesting in particular about Speak That movement is that it really came to me as a vision back in 2011. Actually, it was January 1st, 2011. So imagine that.
Oh
So I
man,
was
perfect.
spending New Year's Eve with some friends, And we were actually, I was with one of my best friends who actually lives in LA now. We're both from Illinois. And we were with a Grammy Award winning poet at the time. She was actually his executive assistant. So we were all spending time for New Year's Eve in Chicago. And
Fun.
so I just jokingly was like, hey, you should perform at an event. I want to host an event with you. And he said, well, make it happen. And so at the time, I was already, working in Bloomington, Illinois. I was, corporate employed, but I was already doing events, my part time just on the side because I've always loved to host events.
Mm.
So I said, okay, let me make it happen. And so I literally just January 1st, in 1 month, I had an event planned. I was blessed with an event at a venue in that town that was a very beautiful castle theater venue. I just pulled in my resources. I had a DJ. I had actually an MC who I reached out to, who is now a starring actor on Chicago PD. So I'm
Ooh,
excited about that.
heck yeah.
Yeah, I had other spoken word artists, and my goal was just to empower people. And when I thought of, okay, what am I going to call this? So I thought, speak that, like speak that. It just sounded catchy. And so event was ready to go for February. And guess what happened? Snowstorm.
Oh,
So I had to postpone it. So I
come
had the
on.
event in March, but it actually was a blessing in disguise because it allowed me to prepare even more. I was able to get some media coverage out there. And what started with that vision on January 1st, 2011, has now evolved into me hosting events here in Dallas, Texas. But I'll be honest, when I moved to Dallas, I put Speak That on a shelf because I was just focused on my career and focused on living in Dallas and all of those things. But as I like to tell people, when you're passionate about something or when you have your baby, you might put it to the side, but you will never be able to fully neglect it. You won't have
Mhm.
peace if you do. So I pulled it out. And so to just bring up the Tiara PR network piece of it, well, I was always doing things over the years, communications, editing. I've edited books. I've worked on so many different things. And so one day I just put a name on it. I jokingly say, Beyonce says put a ring on it. So I just put a name on it and I called it Tiara PR Network. And it was just my name for efforts that I have, things that I do, and how I pull in people within my network.
Mhm.
And so as I started growing Speak That movement, I simultaneously was growing Tiara PR Network because everything that Speak That movement was doing, Tiara PR Network was powering it or a part of it. And so one thing just led to another. I started picking up clients in Dallas with the Tiara PR Network, LLC. And that's my journey. And I will admit there was a pause along my journey where I I I dealt with anxiety. And
Mm.
we could talk about that a little bit more, but I don't want to tell all the positive without acknowledging the roadblock. And there was a moment where I was like, what am I doing? Like imposter syndrome.
Oh
How
yeah.
can I have a corporate career and have this business and empower people? And I found some ways that helped me overcome that. And that's part of the mission of Speak That movement now, to help people overcome those mental health roadblocks as well as social injustice roadblocks. So that's a piece of my journey.
Awesome. No, I love it. I mean, I love what you're doing. I like your story because it really is the epitome of, kind of the side hustle almost. I mean, you have this corporate job, and then you, on the side, you started these other two babies is the way that you put it. And I love that phrase because it is something that you are, giving life to.
Yes.
And you are, nurturing as it grows because it is part of you, as you said. Like if it's coming from the heart, it's really hard to put it aside. It'll just keep coming back into your subconscious, into your life, and being like, you gotta keep building me. I still want
Yeah.
to be created.
Like,
um
mommy, don't neglect me.
yep. So I want to hear, you mentioned you dealt with some anxieties, some imposter syndrome. So how did you grow yourself personally from the initial inception of this, when you were speaking with that poet and doing that first event, to now when you've done multiple events, you have your PR business as well. So kind of take me along the growth trajectory for yourself personally.
Yeah, so I would say what started in Illinois, which is where I'm from, you know, it was really amazing starting everything as far as Speak That movement there because it was my comfort zone, right? I knew
Hmm.
people there, I had resources, I was able to pull, people that I knew were talented and they wanted to be a part of it. So after that event, I decided to keep going. So I had another event actually for Illinois State University's homecoming. I'm a graduate of
Oh, cool.
ISU. So I
Nice.
had an event for our homecoming one year, and that was a successful event. And then I had a few other events where people would ask to partner with me. So I had like open mic nights. I
Oh,
was a
fun.
part of like a book and author showcase. So this Speak That movement name was just becoming a brand, and I didn't even realize it.
Yep.
So fast forward again, I'm in Dallas. I really knew nobody in Dallas, right? I'm just Tiara, right? And so that burning desire just kept building. Like, you know what? It'd be pretty cool to do something in Dallas. And then I'm like, well, who will come? Like, maybe people will come, maybe they won't come. And so I just decided to take a step of faith. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to put something out there, whether it's one person that attends or 100 or 1,000. It doesn't matter. So I remember I had my very first event, but before I did that, I started building the brand on social media. So I
Mm.
started building the Speak That, and now I changed the name from Speak That, which started in Illinois, to now Speak That movement to make it more actionable, more exciting. And plus, somebody else took the name, so whatever.
You had it first.
And so I started building the social media platform. I started like when I would meet people, like, hey, I'm having this event. It's a networking event. So now it wasn't just about poets like I had in Illinois. I was really wanting to tap into the business professionals because I was now a business professional, right? I was focused on my career. So I wanted to bring in people that were inspiring speakers, motivational speakers, people who were CEOs of their small businesses or entrepreneurs, or people who were also working, in corporate America. So I decided to have my first one, and there were about 15 to 20 people there. And some people were like, well, that's pretty good. And for me, I'm like, I thought there would be hundreds of people there. But one of my guest speakers told me something the day of that event. He said, listen to me. What you are doing is great and it's going to be powerful. Don't you ever worry if you have one person or 100 in your audience. You treat that one person as if it was a room full of people and you give them everything that you would have gave a room full. And so that event in 2016 kicked off my very first Speak That Movement event. And then I just kept them going. I kept them going. I kept them going. I was building and building and building. And then people started asking me like, hey, when is the next Speak That Movement event? Or, hey, what else are you doing out there? And it kept growing. And then when COVID hit this year, I had an event planned and I was stuck. I was either going to have this event at my venue or I was going to postpone or cancel. Well, I thought I was going to have it with limited people in attendance. But then COVID took it to another level and the restaurants had to shut down, right?
Hmm.
So I said, okay, it's time to evolve. And so I turned the events into a virtual event. And that has just opened up so many doors, Gabe, because now I have virtual events called Speak That Talks and even some of the Speak That Movement events. And now I'm opening them up to people all over the country. And I actually had an event where one of my guest speakers had people listening in from Australia.
I
I had
love it.
someone that was a guest speaker who has been living in London. And although she was in the United States at the time, she had listeners listening in from London. So it's like, I'm kind of international now.
That's awesome.
But the
Congratulations.
point is, right? Had I never, like, if I didn't start and if I didn't restart, I wouldn't have what I have now. And I wouldn't have the confidence either to keep going. So
Absolutely. No, I love that. And it is, we are kind of at a unique period in history. I mean, I guess every period in history is unique, but I feel like it's extra unique because we can do things like this. I mean, even when I look at my own podcast downloads, I see people listening in from like Sri Lanka and like India. I'm like, what? How are you guys?
exactly. Like I can't even
Very,
speak your language, but you're listening to me, right?
yeah. It's pretty spectacular. Anyways, I liked something you said when you're talking about your story. You said maybe they will, maybe they won't, and I feel like that's a really good mentality. Whenever you're doing something that you really feel is coming from the heart and you need to do it, you don't really worry about the results. You just, maybe they'll come, maybe they won't come, but I'm still going to do this. And you did it, and you did it in the way that it should be done, which is consistency. You did it, and you did it every day, or not every day, but you were consistent over time, and eventually it led to what you're doing right now, which is the Speak That movement, and Speak That Talks, which is international now. So you're an international superstar. I love it.
As I like to tell myself, thank you.
Awesome.
um,
So,
it,
you in your on your website you mentioned you help people combat roadblocks and embrace detours. So, kind of go into that. I mean, people always all over the world they run into whenever you do anything, you're going to run into roadblocks. So, how do you kind of like guide people to overcome those roadblocks?
yes, very good question. So when I think about my own personal roadblock that I mentioned in my intro, so last year I hit what I would consider roadblock, detour, street is cut off, you are not going forward, right? And it was it was really anxiety. And although to this day, I've really learned to admit I was even dealing with slight depression.
Mm,
And that was very difficult for me to even acknowledge and accept
mm-hmm,
because I'm like the person that I'm loud, I'm happy, I'm bringing people together,
mm-hmm.
I'm empowering people, uplifting people. You know, my life is good. Like, why am I not getting out of bed? Why
Yeah.
am I having all these thoughts? And why am I feeling like I want to give up on Tiara PR Network and Speak That movement? And like, why am I feeling this? And so what I found is that for one, it's normal,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
It happens to more people than I would have ever imagined. And I knew that I could have either allowed that to stop me, to allow me to just put everything that I had and just throw it away, or I knew I had to fight through it. Hence the word combat, fight. So what I decided to do last June, I took a month off of work. And I know
Mm,
people are like, how in the world did you do that?
that's great.
Well, I first of all, I had the time. I was blessed with that. And I decided I need Tiara back. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot do anything for my followers, my supporters, my family, my friends, or myself if I'm not Tiara,
Yep.
100% Tiara. So I took a month off of work and I really just wanted to focus, regroup, find myself, think about my future, and just really just reflect. And so what I decided to do was just escape. So I decided, like, where should I go? I prayed on it. Where do I go? And I felt led to go to Denver, Colorado. So I booked the flight. It was a crazy, ridiculously reasonable flight, which was even more confirmation that I should go there.
All right.
I'd always dreamed of going to Denver, Colorado, always. So it just felt like, you know what, why not?
Mm-hmm.
All by myself. I didn't even tell my loved ones where I was going until I was on the plane.
Oh
And I
wow.
asked that everybody just, give me some
Give me some
time. I'll be
space. I
back in a
gotta.
couple of days.
Yeah.
They all respected it. And you know what was fascinating? Some of them even sent me a text saying, I'm proud of you. And I'm like, wow, right? Like, I didn't think it was anything to be proud of. But when I look back, when we are willing to take back our lives, take back our minds, take back our thoughts to live an even better life, that is something to be proud of. So I spent time in Denver. I was introduced to the concepts of mindfulness. I did mindfulness when it comes to yoga, hiking. I hiked a mountain. Here I am, this girl from south of Chicago, 11,000 square feet in the in the sky, hiking. I participated in meditation. I learned how to get myself back together.
Mm.
And when I came back to Dallas, I was renewed, I was refreshed, and I have been unstoppable. And I don't just say that as a sales pitch because that's not me at all. I say that because what I experienced transformed my life. And that's why I'm even more dedicated to helping other people understand, hey, You can make it through. My situation may not be as bad as someone else's. My situation may be worse than others because we're not always open to talk about those taboo topics. But I
Mhm.
have found that when I've opened up and when I've brought in speakers who are willing to share their stories on my platforms, we're healing people, we're transforming people. And I asked God, I said, God, if you allow me to get Tiara back and be better than ever, my commitment to you is that I will help other people. And that's what I'm doing.
Absolutely. No, I love it. And, I've had my own tussles with anxiety and depression. And the thing that about that is it never, or it doesn't necessarily have to be because you're in a bad situation. Your life may be great. And yet somehow it just kind of creeps over you. So, the reason we call this the Pursuing Greatness podcast, and the subtitle is Mastering Your Health, Your Business, Your Relationships, and Your Spirit. And the reason health is first is because I really do feel that you need to take care of your own health before you can take care of any other area in your life. So I love that about your story, is that you ran into a situation where you were feeling your body and your mind were giving you messages that something was off, and that you weren't in yourself. And so you took that opportunity. You said, I'm going to change this. You went and you took time to yourself. You rejuvenated and you came back stronger than ever. So I love that your story went that way. And I love that you're able to share it with us today.
Yes, absolutely. And from that, I'm able to empower people by one, encouraging people, speak life over yourself. And that's one of the premises of Speak That movement. Like your words have power. And I oftentimes I will go in a mirror and I will speak life over myself. I will tell myself, you will overcome this, you will make it through, you are a blessing, whatever it might be that we need to tell ourselves, because we can't wait on other people to tell us things. We have to be willing to tell ourselves. And then the second thing is that we have to pause. Sometimes we feel like we have to be so busy, we have to be productive, we have to reach this goal and make this dream a reality. But sometimes you have to pause to be productive.
Mm-hmm.
Pause. And sometimes you have to shut out the world because you need to focus on your world, your internal world, so that you can make a difference. So those are two things that I love to share. Speak life over yourself, pause to be productive.
Yeah, I love both of those recommendations. Unfortunately, it's a 20-minute podcast and the time has flown by. I think we might be
Yeah.
nearing 25, 30 minutes. So Tiara, thank you very much for hopping on the show. Before we leave, we're going to go into the quick question round. And this is where I ask quick questions. You answer quickly. First question is about books. I'm a big bookie, so give me two recommendations. One in the area that you're talking about, so kind of mindset, business even, and another one just general life wisdom. What are your recommendations?
Relentless, a book I read earlier this year, absolutely amazing. And the second one, The 10 Distinctions Between Millionaires and the Middle Class. And I
Hmm.
may have said the title wrong, but really good book that I'm reading now.
All right, 10 distinction between millionaire and middle class, and then relentless. I'll have to check that one out. Next question is about habits. I feel like habits are the foundation of our life. They kind of underpin everything that we do. So if you could pinpoint one habit that you kind of feel has contributed the most to your success today, what would that habit be?
Being unapologetic, doing what I love, and not even worrying about what other people have to say or think because it's all positive and I'm unapologetic about it.
I love it. I love it. Next question. If you could go back to the Tiara who was just getting started out, who had just started her first event back with the poet that you were working with, go back to her, sit her down, and just give her one piece of advice moving forward in business. What would that be?
Don't be afraid. Do it and do it big.
I like it. I like it. All right. Final question. You have given us a lot of great advice, a lot of great wisdom. I'm sure there's people listening and watching who want to reach out and get in contact with you. What would be the best way for them to do that?
My website, you can visit www.tiaraprnetwork.com, which is TIARAPRnetwork.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Tiara M. Tucker, and also I'm on social media, Facebook, Tiara M. Tucker, Twitter, and Instagram is more personal, but you can find me on Speak That Movement on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. So website is the best way. Send me an email if you want. Contact info is on the website.
Perfect. Sounds good. And I will put her her URL in the show notes below. So if you guys want to reach out to Tiara, go ahead and click through there and say hi.
Yes, I would love to say hi right back.
There you go. Again, Tiara, thank you very much for coming on the show. I appreciated having you here. For everybody who's here with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason that we do this. Again, the best way to support the show is just to subscribe, like, and share with your friends and family. And other than that, I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic week, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Yes, thank you. Speak life over yourself.
Thank you guys for sticking with us on another episode of the Pursuing Greatness podcast. I hope you got a lot of value out of that guest. Again, the best way to support the show is just to subscribe, like, and share with your friends and family. Also, check out pursuinggreatnesspodcast.com if you want to get more information about what we do and what we offer. I hope you guys have a great day and keep living in integrity with yourselves. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode coming shortly.